Today, we're going to be talking a lot about wellness, longevity, weight loss, and how you can implement these new initiatives into your pharmacy. I am Annie. I'm the clinical director here at Atrium. I'm also a pharmacist. And this is Jen.
And I am the director of sales and operation here at Atrium 24. Oh, and there we are again.
There twice. All right, so today we're going to go through a little bit of how the market is really shifting towards these wellness opportunities. And then we're going to do an overview of some of the most popular ones right now, which is NAD, sermorelin, and glutathione. And then we're going to talk about really how you can actually implement this in your store, how to market it, utilization of telemedicine specific for independent pharmacies, our GPO, and also what's coming with liraglutide.
Yes, lots of good stuff coming. We're really excited about that.
So, like I said, a lot of people are really shifting to this kind of proactive care versus reactive care. A lot of people are a lot more interested now in the wellness injections, longevity, anti-aging. I think we had predicted this a while ago, after the GLPs started. A lot of people are more open to injections and also just kind of more focused on their wellness journey. And just as an example, you can look at what the large telehealth, telemedicines are promoting, and you can see it. It's everywhere. The NAD, it's everywhere. It's on back order places because it has exploded. So I say that's always a good place to look at what the market is really moving towards. So you can see those all over the place.
Yeah, and I always think too, when people start to get healthy, like with the GLPs and all of the weight loss that they've been experiencing, sometimes that's when they're like, all right, now I feel good. Now I want to get even healthier.
100%.
So, people are looking for supplements and all
Yeah.
kinds of different options. And
Yeah.
of course, you've got a lot of those solutions in the pharmacy currently too. So,
and now I want to work on my body composition
Right.
and I want to work on my athleticism and my recovery.
right.
So yeah, I think it really ties in, which is really great if you've already developed those relationships as well.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the wellness clinics that were doing the GLPs, as they start to be taken off of the market, are really ramping these things up.
Yes, they really are. And that's something that I've been trying to get everybody to understand especially when we talked about the GLPs, it was like shooting fish in a barrel as far as getting patients because everybody was talking about it. But that was really the most opportune time to get in there and build those relationships with prescribers so that when you do have new products like this, it makes it a little bit easier to get in the door and convey those messages. So,
yeah.
So hopefully you all listen to me.
Yes. And I don't think, honestly, a lot of pharmacies themselves offer these products as of now.
Right.
So kind of really getting in now, you would be on the forefront of it and you were able to kind of capture that business that I believe somebody else is going to get down the line. So I think now's the time for sure. Kind of like how in the beginning we were like, get on the GLPs.
Right.
Now is the time to get on these wellness medications and be that trusted source for your patients and for the prescribers around you that are looking for it.
Absolutely. And I know NAD isn't exactly a peptide, but it does get rolled into that peptide class. And we do know that peptides are going to be responsible for about 50 billion in this market space. So that's a lot of income. It's a lot of profit. So
Yep.
There's a lot of potential opportunity for pharmacies to go ahead and get in on some of that cash business. Normally we get left out in the cold. So this is your sign to get started.
Yes. So we'll just do a quick overview of these. Jen is going to have like a training on these specifically where she's going to go a lot more in depth based both on like the science side and on how to really sell these. Because she is a very highly trained sales rep and has been working now in this space for a while. So stay tuned for that. Probably in a couple weeks, she'll do NAD and then following the glutathione and sermorelin as well.
Yep.
So NAD is a vital coenzyme found in every cell of the body. So it really plays a key role in all of your body processes. So energy production, DNA repair, cellular regeneration. It also indirectly regulates metabolism. So as we age, NAD drops pretty significantly. So obviously replacing is going to help with everything. You're going to see it orally, IM, IV, sub-Q, but the oral bioavailability is really not that great. So these injections are really able to ramp it up for you and are going to give you a much better therapeutic effect. Absolutely. We can talk about, just quickly go over some of the benefits. You'll see a lot of overlap between these, but increase in energy, increased mental clarity, healthy aging. It aids in detoxing, helps combat stress and burnout, and it even has a place in addiction recovery. So that's a pretty big space for it as well. And then sermorelin. So this is a peptide.
Yes.
So it mimics growth hormone releasing hormone. So it stimulates the pituitary gland to increase the natural production of growth hormone. So it helps to restore your youthful function naturally. Typically dosed sub-Q around like 200 to 300 micrograms a day, typically at night when your body is normally producing growth hormone. It also in turn is going to raise your IGF-1 levels. And sermorelin is generally considered safer than injecting growth hormone or even some of the synthetic versions because it is natural and relies on your own body to produce the growth hormone. So it is generally considered the safer one and one that's really popular. Some of the benefits of sermorelin, again, going to be similar to the NAD, is increasing energy, sleep quality, weight loss and fat reduction. So you'll see a lot of these clinics have been doing sermorelin along with their GLPs. So I think there's going to be a big push for people who either haven't been on it to start it, or people who are coming off of some of the GLPs that want to, keep up with something. It also helps with lean muscle mass. So again, like the body composition where maybe people have lost a significant amount of weight, but their body isn't looking exactly how they want. They want to build that lean muscle back. Really good.
Yeah, and if you can jump as high as this guy can jump,
Look
if
at
that's what
him.
it can make you do, sign me
As soon
up.
as you inject it.
Right.
Glutathione is an antioxidant naturally produced in your body. So it's really important neutralizing all those reactive oxygen species and free radicals. It also helps detox the liver and support the immune system. It's typically dosed IM or IV. So in the pharmacy, you're probably going to see, obviously, most orders for IM. It's also used pretty often for skin. So people use it a lot. So like in the dermatology space as well, like evening and brightening your skin are some of the big ones on that. Immunity also is probably the next biggest one with glutathione. That's kind of one that stands out from the other two more with helping boost your immunity. So you'll see these in all those, mixes that they do in the IV therapies, but it's normally around like 300 to 600 milligrams per dose when you're doing an IM. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how you actually are going to be able to market these products. So within Dotti, we have a ton of materials, and every time we come up with a program, we start with like a base of the things that you're really going to need. So we have patient information sheets, direction sheets if it requires it, prescriber cell sheets, because although these things are kind of like buzzwords right now, not a lot of people really understand what they are or what they're used for.
Right.
RX order forms, which really helps, again, when people don't really understand the dosing. Pricing guides, so you guys can get an idea of what these things have been selling for, bag stuffers, so you can really help promote it, and more. So these materials are auto-branded for your pharmacy if you are a Dotti member. Most of the materials are for Plus and Pro members, but we do have some materials as well at the basic membership.
And that is something that we newly have added to our basic membership for the $99 a month. Of course, you have access to all of the GLP related marketing materials. So soon to come liraglutide. I don't want to steal your thunder on that announcement. But also you have the cell sheets that are available to you for all of the different specialties. So that's something that we've recently added. So even though you may not have the order forms, at least you do have the cell sheets to be able to go out there and start those conversations with providers as well. As you get the momentum building in that market space, you may think about even upgrading to Plus to get more of those resources as well.
Yeah, once you see how profitable these things can be, it is really useful to have a fully built out program ready for you to go. Because we know as pharmacy owners, we've all worked in that space that you just don't have time to implement new things when you're trying to just catch up from what's been going on. But that's kind of what we're here for, to provide you with, along with all of the, sales and analytics data that is in Dotti. These programs are really really ready to go, which is awesome. So in that essence, the NAD marketing materials are available now inside Dotti. So check those out. If you already are a Dotti member, they'll be in the NAD folder for you.
Yep. And we're actually in the process of creating even more marketing materials for NAD. So just as Annie stated, we start with our basic kind of marketing resource kit, and then we just continue to grow on that. Of course, we always look to our members as well. Any kind of feedback you can give us on those marketing resources, or maybe if you think, wow, this would be really helpful if I had this kind of marketing piece. As long as it benefits the greater good of most of our pharmacies, we do go ahead and create those pieces and add that into our resource section to be shared among all of our pharmacies. So that's another great aspect of Dotti. Even though you're operating out there as a lone wolf in your own pharmacy, we are a network. We are connecting people together, and it's important that we share different ideas to kind of help each other out. At this point, I feel like it's just a big game of David and Goliath out there against us and the big guys. So anytime we can collaborate, anytime we can bring any other resources out there, we always urge you guys to reach out and have that conversation with us, because we're open to it.
Yeah, we're always continually growing the programs. And, I think what's so great about Atrium is we're always on the forefront looking ahead. So you don't have to spend as much time doing that. So we're always editing and adding to. And I know Jen keeps thinking of more and more resources she
I
wants.
sure do.
So.
As the sales rep, I'm like, this would be really helpful. So we say, even if you're in the pharmacy and you feel like, wow, I'm having to tell every single patient the same thing over and over again, let us know. We'll make a resource. That's, how we come up with injection guides and all of these different things that are created is from feedback and just, things Annie's experiencing in our pharmacy as well. So it's very important to share that. And that's how we continually grow these programs. So,
Yep. And then a note on like social media marketing too, which is so big right now.
yeah.
I think especially for these programs, you can really promote like a specific therapy on social media. Where before you might have been saying like, we have compounding, we have competitive retail prices, we have this, but you can really get specific with this because these are the types of things that are drawing so much attention.
Right.
So maybe you have a campaign that's a whole month that's about NAD, and then maybe you have a whole month that's about Sermorelin.
Right.
Anyways, I think with social media, you can kind of switch up your strategy a little bit with this, where it can be really therapy specific.
Definitely.
And then we also at Atrium 24 just launched a telemedicine program as well. So this is pretty huge. If you did not watch the past webinar, it is within Dotti. You can also reach out to us if you want us to send it out to you so you can kind of get a deeper understanding of what it is. But these are platforms that have been designed specifically for independent pharmacies. So I know IPC has one, which is iCare Plus. Theirs is more right now just on the weight management side. It's about like a 4 to 6 week startup process, but reach out to us. We can connect you with them. And then also Atrium's ExpediCare, which is really cool. So it's very customizable to your pharmacy. You can pick and choose what you want to promote. So let's say you are just going to be doing, right now you have semaglutide and you're just going to add NAD. You can add those. And then next week you decide you want Sermorelin. You just click a button and now that's activated. So you'll have a link on your own website where patients will go specifically to what therapy they want. And after they complete their health assessment and the doctor reviews it, you'll get the prescription. What's really useful for these in this space is, they're high profit,
Right.
it's cash based. So it's also really good for your own compounds as well, for compounding pharmacies. I know right now we're talking a little bit more about, the injectables, which are, you'd have to be a sterile compounding pharmacy. So we know there's not a ton out there. But these 503B products, you can just pull in and you don't have to worry about being a sterile pharmacy.
No, definitely. And I think the telemedicine is really awesome because we do talk to a lot of patients right in the pharmacy. They're coming to pick something up. Maybe they see the bag stuffer that we created for NAD and they're like, oh, my doc won't do new stuff. That's all right. Guess what, patient? We've got another solution. We can hook you up with our doctor. He could talk to you, make sure you're an appropriate candidate for the medication, and then send the med right into our pharmacy. So it really is going to open up a lot of great potential opportunity. To, of course, not just bring that revenue in, but also help your patients out too. Because a lot of these patients, if their doctors are not going to prescribe some of these medications, they're going to just any old telemedicine
And that's really the
platform.
only place they can find these types of medicines. They're not
Right.
even gonna be able to go to like, okay, well, the primary care is gonna say like, no, I'm gonna do it. Like, it's just most likely not gonna happen unless you are
Right.
in like a wellness clinic. Which a lot of these things are dosed like several times a week up to daily. So there's actually a lot of opportunity for even these wellness clinics
Right.
to be their fulfillment pharmacy for the patients that aren't, it was one thing to go in maybe once a week for weight loss, but it's another thing, like they're not gonna go in. They might be dosing Sermorelin then once a week, which is really not gonna be as useful. They really should be dosing it daily, so.
Right.
So I think there's like a ton of opportunity, and like Jen said, it just helps you connect the patients who are looking for it with the actual medication, because you will get a lot of, people stuck in that middle area of wanting it, but not having a means to get it without
Right.
going to a non-trusted source online.
Right. And especially for our pharmacies that are maybe in more remote areas where maybe you don't have a functional medicine doc in your town, or you don't
Mhm.
have this available. That's really where, we saw during COVID, telemedicine really took off, and there's a reason for that, because it was convenient and it was easy and all of these things. So
Mhm.
it is nice to be able to have just another option for bringing patients in and getting patients started on these medications.
Yeah. And we have had people even say, we don't want to step on the toes of these wellness doctors. And I totally get that. But there's a huge subset of doctors who are just, they like the idea of it, but they don't even know how to prescribe it, what to do, what blood work do they have to do to check on it. So even just letting the prescribers around your area know that you're doing it, that way if they have patients coming to them and saying like, oh, I've saw Chris Jenner with the
Oh,
NAD.
yeah.
And she
Wait,
looks
that's my line.
she
I
looks
saw Kris Jenner
amazing.
on
I
those
know.
Super Bowl ads, and man, she did look good. I was like,
I'm
is
very
she
bad with
reverse?
pop culture, so I'm
Yeah.
only hearing this from Jen.
Is she reverse aging? I gotta get in on that.
Anyway, so then maybe they don't,
Yeah.
they're not offering it there, but they know that you are a trusted resource because
Right.
they have this relationship with you, to say
Exactly.
like, we don't really do that, but I know that, Jen's pharmacy down the street does it. Here's their
Right.
info.
And your typical general, MD or DO are usually not doing this with medications. They're busy seeing sick patients. They're trying to just keep, patients, they're diabetic patients and their heart, everybody. So they're not really messing around with stuff like this for the most part. That's what we've seen in our area anyway. So,
But I do suspect that a lot of them are going to start getting more questions about it
right.
as these things get more popular. So that's where you come in.
Yeah. And the good news for all those health systems out there, they probably won't be able to let their doctors do it. So think about all that opportunity.
Yeah, we've seen it all over. Like,
Yeah.
we have doctors in our area who will just refer to us to utilize our telemedicine, even though it's their primary care doctor or whatever,
Yeah.
because the health system that they work in doesn't allow them to.
Right.
They wish they could write it, but they're not allowed to. And then we'll also talk about our GPO, which is another huge portion of this. So Atrium's GPO, which was formed probably about a year ago, and
Yeah.
is really gaining a lot of traction. Is amazing. So you get tiered discounts with all memberships. So even if you are at that basic membership, you're going to get at least 10% off of these list prices. And then you're going to get even deeper discounts on like the wellness, anti-aging, weight loss, energy, men's health. And as you get to the Plus and Pro memberships, you'll get a bigger discount as well. We currently have Olympia, PQ, and Medivan in our GPO, but we are definitely looking to grow that, kind of a place where we can, put all of these products.
Right.
So you guys know what's available without having to do that. It's honestly kind of hard to keep up with what all of the 503Bs are making, and what you would really be interested in and where you would buy it from. So we can connect you with all of that, plus get you the discounts that you would not be able to get on your own. We are able to aggregate the purchasing power of all of our pharmacies. So you're going to get that discount that maybe you would only get if you're doing 10,000 files of something a month, which is really amazing. And I'll just point out for this one, Olympia's list of medications is extensive, so they are really big into the wellness stuff, which is
Yes.
awesome, and they have always been. So they have kind of been the place where most prescribers look for all of that, where they
Right.
get all their IV stuff, where they get their Sermorelin, where they get all that kind of stuff. So they have a really incredible list of products, and that translates right to you. You will be available to order any of that 503B stuff with that built-in discount. You don't have to haggle for it or anything.
Right. And that's the other nice thing too, is that when you do order, let's say from Olympia and you're a Dotti Plus member, all of those marketing materials are already ready to go. So our
Mhm.
marketing materials are geared towards the products you're actually purchasing from the GPO. So I can't tell you how many pharmacies that I've talked to and they're like, I wish I would have found you 2 months ago when I started to create all of these different things, because it is quite tedious. And it takes a lot of energy and focus to make all of these different marketing materials, especially to have them nice, neat, clean, branded, easy to follow.
Mhm.
Ours have been tested and tried by different prescribers all across the US, and they've performed very well. So there's also something to be said, not just about bringing those products in, but having the program ready to roll, to be able to roll the programs out to not just patients, but also to your prescribers as well.
You're right. Like, does the order form's gonna match up with the products that you can get?
Correct.
And as we have new ones come on, maybe theirs is a little bit different. Maybe their NAD is 400 milligrams, not 500 milligrams. We always add a new one. So let's say, okay, you're not ordering from here, you're ordering from here. Here you go. So it's turnkey
Correct.
approach. You're ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, and then liraglutide finally is finally going to be coming, and we soon, real soon, like within a month. Olympia is definitely releasing it in June. So right now their concentration is set at 6 milligrams per ml. They have a 5 ml and a 10 ml option available. You also get a discount on that. And since it is in the GLP class, we had negotiated with them that all of our members get that bigger discount.
Yep.
So you're gonna get a large discount on Olympia's liraglutide. And then PQ Pharmacy is planning on making it as well. We don't have the release date or the concentration, but we'll keep you up to date on that. And like Jen said, when they do come out, we'll have specific ones where, Olympia's form is gonna say liraglutide 6 milligrams per ml. The quantity is gonna be in 5 ml increments, obviously, to make sense. And the dosing that goes along with that. Even in my pharmacy and with my sales rep, we're now just starting to hear people talking about it a lot. So a lot of people that we saw were just kind of like pretending it wasn't going to happen, pretending it wasn't going to happen, pretending semaglutide wasn't going away.
Right.
And now we're finally getting people who are saying, okay, what's our plan? Maybe they're stocking up on semaglutide, but there's a lot of people now who are starting to think about liraglutide and how that fits into their practice and how that fits in with their patients. Obviously liraglutide, the weight loss percentage is not nearly as high. So I see a lot of people, I'm guessing, are going to be on the highest dose. So just think to that.
Daily injection.
It's a daily injection, yes, which is annoying, but as we've seen for people who want to lose weight, they will do just about anything.
Sure will.
So I think it's going to be also really helpful for people who, suddenly need to transition off of it. That's definitely going to help keep them at like a maintenance dose, or people that are trying to wean off, or
Right.
even people who have never been on it before, won't have that like built up already in their system. I think that's it for today. Yes, and I think this QR code will take you to the Atrium website. But we also have a telemedicine interest form. So if anybody is interested, just specifically in the telemedicine, we can send you out some additional information on that, and get you started with that. So you can email us at hello@atrium24.io. If you are already a Dotti member, it is already within Dotti on that GPO page. It's part of our GPO.
Yep.
And then I guess we can see if we have any questions here, John. If
Yeah,
you don't have any more to
sounds
say.
good. And just to let you guys know, if you are Dotti members and you're thinking about upgrading to Plus to get some of these extra resources, you are able to do that. Just go ahead and shoot us an email and I can go ahead and do that for you. If you are not a Dotti member and you're attending our webinar today, thanks so much for checking us out. We do offer a free 14-day trial in Dotti. I suggest you always trial in the Plus membership. You can always downgrade you before your free 14 days is up. Or if you're looking to get started, you can join and end your trial early. That's also something you have the ability to do if you really want to get to those resources, and the GPO discount, because those are the two things that are locked during the trial are going to be anything in the marketing material resource folder, as well as the GPO discount. I see we've got some questions.
And if you are wondering, a lot of people who were, pushing the GLPs were able to offer that in their community. That was making a really decent profit. So I think people are probably wondering, like, are you going to be able to continue that? And the answer with the the wellness injections is yes, you can still make a very good profit off of like the NAD. You could easily make $100. It sells at a pretty high rate everywhere, even with like the telehealth that try to cut the prices. So I think right now it's a good place to get in, and you sell a couple of those, it's a couple $100. It's easy.
Easy peasy. All right, we've got a few questions here. So I see the dosing of NAD on your prescriber form that is in Dotti.
Yes, so we do have dosing on NAD in our RX order form, and that one currently goes along with like Olympia's products and common dosing. We will probably add some additional ones as we go. The follow-up question to that is, what about recommended dosing for Sermorelin and glutathione? So those two are in development right now. So we will have those order forms for you. We're launching one program at a time. So NAD just launched. Sermorelin will be next, along with liraglutide and then glutathione. But Sermorelin is generally like 200 to 300 micrograms a day at night. And then the glutathione is like 300 to 600 milligrams IM a couple times a week. But we will put that, we will have that info for you. This is a great question, which makes it, because it's like I said, like when I'm doing the research from these, is like, it's not amlodipine where we know we do 5 milligrams,
Right.
or we do 10. There's a lot of different ideas behind how it's dosed. So I take a lot of effort in deciding what the best dosing is, what makes the most sense for patients, what makes the most sense based on what's available and what's actually going to be therapeutically beneficial to the patients. Because a lot of people will even if, like I said, they're in clinic, they're like, okay, here, yeah, come in once a week and we'll do your NAD and we'll do, like 20 milligrams. Like, it's not really going to do much for somebody. So we do have that information behind it. Studies for NAD, most studies that are out there are going to be animal models, but they are pretty convincing. Clinicaltrials.gov, you can search NAD and they will all pop up for you. I would imagine coming up in the future, there's going to be a lot more human studies, just because there is so much interest in it.
And there's so many people doing it already, right? So
Mhm.
I'm sure there's somebody out there collecting that data as we
Yes.
speak.
Even if it's not going to be the, double-blinded trials that are coming
Little
from
pharma study.
big pharma,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be able to get like a decent sized trial. Yeah, so I haven't looked recently on it, but there's going to be a lot. If you look at clinicaltrials.gov, so it has to tell you all the trials that are going on.
Yes. And we'll
Um,
talk about some of that too when we cover NAD 101 in a few weeks. We'll be going a little bit more digging, scientifically speaking, into NAD, why it's important, all the other systems that it affects in the body and how it actually works. So we'll have more of that then too. Let's go here. Are you all continuing GLP and medically necessary alternatives to brands?
like so I don't know if you're asking specifically at the pharmacy that we have. At the moment, we source from 503Bs. So all of the 503Bs will be discontinuing along with the FDA guidance. So we wouldn't be pulling in those 503B products. There may be an opportunity in the future through other ways. And then we have seen a lot of our pharmacies though that are continuing to sell ones that they're compounding themselves. Um, which lists the medical necessity. So that's kind of like a gray area right now and kind of depends more on your risk tolerance. I think what's gonna matter the most is we see how these lawsuits play out, that Big Pharma has put out to places like Empower. I think it's gonna be imperative to know how that plays out in court because the last decision is going to be how that court decides, and that will kind of probably set the precedence of how people will continue. You know, because within compounding, there's always been the clause that if it's, you know, if it's different enough, if it's medically necessary for different reasons. So a lot of pharmacies are comfortable with continuing, but that is really a personal choice. I always recommend reaching out to your lawyer when you do have questions like that, but we have definitely seen both ways, people who are risk averse, who are definitely stopping, and then people who are definitely just ready to go. For sure.
And that is what's nice too, I think about liraglutide, when you think about liraglutide coming, is that it's generic, right? It has been branded for some time and it's also on the shortage list. So I feel like it's a kind of a little bit cleaner. I don't think people are going to be as nervous
With the liraglutide. Oh yeah, it's on the shortage list, so I don't think they're, in that sense, you don't have to worry about the risk at all with that. But of course, you know, it has its pros and cons. It's not going to be as effective for the weight loss, so there's definitely a space where it's going to fit in. And then just out of sheer necessity, I think it's going to gain a lot of popularity because that's the only thing that's going to be available to a lot of people. So I think it is going to grow in that popularity. And as we've seen, like most of these wellness clinics, if you went in and were like, I just want to follow Eli Lilly's recommended dosing where every 2 weeks I bump up my dose and I double it, like people don't do that in real life, which is thank goodness, because like it's not really a good idea. I don't know where they came up with this dosing. I mean, I do. I know they're going for the maximum benefit that they can, but people see benefits at such a low dose of these GLPs that I think also for patients who have never started, there is going to be a big opportunity where these medications might actually be a lot more effective than we think they are. Maybe we're going to see more than that 5 to 10% weight loss. Does the NAD from Olympia follow same wholesale bulk purchasing? Yes, and dispense with a prescription. Yep. So NAD is great from Olympia because it is on their, Olympia has both a 503A and a 503B pharmacy. So on their 503A side, they sell even more. They have a very extensive list, but honestly, their 503B products are the most I've ever seen as well. So they do sell NAD. It comes actually in a lyophilized vial. NAD is a little bit finicky. It degrades. That's how they have it right now. We might see in the future that it's an aqueous version, but for now it comes lyophilized. That helps extend the beyond use state. And yep, you just buy it like you did with the GLPs. Olympia is also wonderful because let's say you just want to buy one vial. That's fine. You just buy one vial. You want to buy one vial of NAD and one of Sermorelin? Great. You want to buy methylcobalamin? Go ahead. So I really like that they don't have any restrictions on the order size. That makes it really great for all of these pharmacies that are really kind of just starting out. You're like, sure, maybe one day I'll be selling, you know, 50 vials a month of NAD, but right now we're just getting our feet wet.
Yes, liraglutide is on the shortage list. How does the NAD compare to the OTC available capsules powder?
So NAD is not really very bioavailable, so you're not really able to absorb it well through the digestive tract. So people still do use it and like it. It's not like terrible, but it's like, let's compare it to vitamin B, where you have to take 10,000 times the amount to really absorb any that you are supposed to get per day, to absorb any. The better version is really going to be the injection. That's going to be the same with the NAD. It's going to be like the efficacy. I don't even think you can compare oral formulations to the injections, which is what makes it so nice to be able to get those even if you aren't a sterile pharmacy. Does Dotti plan to create a liraglutide order form? Definitely. Yep, so we're gonna have, and for the liraglutide, that'll be nice because we're gonna open it up to everybody, because we said at the beginning, the GLPs, when it was just semaglutide and tirzepatide, we said all memberships are gonna have access to all of these materials, so that will be the same with the liraglutide, so we'll open it to everybody, because we know we had a lot of our basic members that were utilizing those forms. So yes, we will. So we'll have specific order forms. So I'll have like an Olympia specific one. Let's say you're ordering from Olympia, that goes with their concentration, with their vial sizes. And then again, with PQ, and then potentially any more that we are adding on as well.
Yep, and you'll see those prescriber cell sheets, the bag stuffers, all the things that are currently in the program for all of the other GLPs. We will have created for liraglutide when the time is right, which is coming up soon in June.
Yeah, we'll probably have some information too on, comparing them to the semaglutide and tirzepatide as well, to kind of help assist providers in transitioning patients.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We kind of went over our 30-minute mark, but just wanted to thank you again for joining Annie and I today this afternoon. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us by email, hello@atrium24.io. You can always give us a call in the office too, 877-RX-OWNER. I keep saying we need like a jingle, like 796-9637.
I'm sure you could write it down.
Sure, I could. So yeah, definitely reach out. Let us know. We're really excited. If you're looking to really up your pharmacy's game and you wanted that turnkey approach.
Or a turtle.
Or a turtle. I am a turtle. Don't get a turtle. It's a lifetime commitment. Definitely reach out. Visit us at atrium24.io to get more information.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.